Hi, I'm Becca Winkler, founder of Wings Creative, and on this channel, you're gonna find marketing tips, tricks, inspiration, and so much more. And today we're gonna talk about the do's and don'ts of social media.
Dress me up, first for smile, perfect lines, perfect color, you're all I know, there's no other.
Social media is a beast, and sometimes you hear what's worked for some people and you wonder, is that true? Should I do that? Well, today we're going to talk about those myths and hopefully debunk some of them. So here are my 5 do and don'ts of social media. Myth number 1, worry about your following numbers. That's the first thing we need to debunk. It's not about your follower count anymore. It's also not about how many you have. And the last thing I need you to do is to go and buy followers. That is a huge no-no. It also wastes money, and there's no need to waste money on useless things like buying followers. So the first myth is worrying about your followers. So what's the do with that? Do worry about your engagement. Worry about how people are engaging and if people are engaging with your content, because that is the key to success. You want to be able to cultivate a community around your profile and your brand. So you should be worrying about engagement. So what is engagement? It's likes, it's comments, shares, saves, anything how people are interacting with your posts and profile. That's what you need to be focusing on. Don't number 2. Post all the time on all social media platforms. Now you hear how people have like 5 or 6 different platforms that you're using, but to be honest with you, it's quite stressful to be on all social media platforms posting for the same thing about the same topic. So what I need you to do is to focus on about maybe 3 or 4 max. Preferably 2 to 3 is the perfect amount of social channels you should focus on, because that way you could really focus on the quality of content rather than the quantity. Now that also gets into posting all the time. You don't need to be posting 24/7, 7 days a week on all platforms. That is crazy, insane, and a lot of work. And to people who do that, props to you. Which leads me to the do number 2. Post a few times on a few platforms. So like I just said, really think about and focus on a few platforms you want to post about, and then focus on a few times you want to post a week. That way you're able to give quality content that you want to your consumers that they'll actually engage with and they'll actually want to see. Don't number 3, the myth, look at all platforms the same. Not all platforms are the same. TikTok is different than Facebook. Facebook's different than Instagram. Instagram's different than Snapchat. So what you decide upon each channel should be tailored to that channel specifically. For example, if you're posting on Instagram and you want to repost it to Facebook, don't directly push the button post on Facebook, because on Facebook, all those hashtags used on Instagram are irrelevant, and you don't want it to look like you did the lazy way out of just reposting. Take a few seconds, trim it up, and then post it on Facebook. Which leads us to the do number 3. Look at all platforms differently. Each platform is unique to itself. Now, can you repurpose each content to different platforms? Absolutely. But how you actually put those posts on each platform is what matters. For example, on Instagram Reels, you can have a long caption. But if you were to repurpose that for TikTok, you couldn't. You have to be able to shorten it in a short and sweet amount of time. So really think about how you want to repurpose that on each platform. It's possible, but just remember each platform is different. Don't number 4, leave your consumers without a response. It's so important to be actively engaged on your social media channels by responding to comments in your DMs in an appropriate, timely fashion. It's so important, like I said, to make sure that you are present and there to actually connect with your consumer and audience. You don't want to look like you're just sending out mass messages and not caring about cultivating a community. Which leads us to the do number 4, make sure you're responding to your audience in an appropriate, timely manner. Did you know that 70% of people are more likely to use a brand or product if they see that that brand is interactive on social media? It's super clear that it's so important to respond in a timely manner and just to cultivate that community around your social channels. Coming up with a good system for community management is so key and vital to have a strong social media presence. And that's why you also don't want to be on all of the social channels, because it can get super overwhelming responding to comments on all the channels. And if it gets too overwhelming, you can always hire someone like a community manager to do that job for you. So just make sure you're always responding to your consumers in a timely manner. And the last don't is not to have a strategy. It is so important to have a social media strategy in place to know exactly how you're planning. Because posting willy-nilly, randomly is gonna get you nowhere. With no purpose and no goal in mind, it's really not gonna serve any purpose to you and will really make having a social media presence kind of pointless. And so that leads to the do number 5. Create a social strategy with goals in mind. It is so vital to have a plan in place to know exactly how, when, and where you're gonna post. It's so important to have content calendars to know what holidays you're gonna focus on, when you're gonna have promotions, and it's also important to lay out a week in advance roughly what you're gonna post about, so you're able to rotate through content, know you're offering your consumers something different, and not always just randomly posting and being stressed about what you're gonna post that day. And so by having a strategy in place, you're able to set up goals and actually have a purpose to why you're having a social media. So hopefully those 5 do's and don'ts have helped debunk some of those myths that you've heard of how people have increased their social media presence, gained such a large following, and so on and so forth. But ultimately, remember to be you. Don't be fake. Remember that these people want to be there for you, for what your product and service have to offer. So make sure to be real to who you are and to show what you're really all about. If you like this video, please make sure to like and subscribe to it, and follow Wings Creative on all social channels for more marketing tips and tricks. I'll look forward to seeing you on another day.
Dress me up, fuss or smile.